Welcome to another edition of MCAT Strategy. Today we will be discussing general elements of successful MCAT study. The advice I'm going to discuss today is not only applicable to the MCAT, but if you apply these principles to anything in your life, you will have a much greater chance of being successful. The first topic is being realistic about what is needed from you personally. Studying for the MCAT is a lot of hard work, and there's really no shortcut around that. Most people will require 2.5 to 4 months of hard study to prepare adequately. That's why people often take a summer off in order to study and properly prepare for the MCAT. This amount is only slightly diminished if you're a repeat writer, because during the year your MCAT specific knowledge and skills will become rusty, but having a little bit of experience with the MCAT does help to speed things up. You will sometimes hear stories of people studying for a month, or people who worked full time while studying and doing well. These people are the rare exception, and you shouldn't base your idea of what kind of time commitment the MCAT requires on those stories. For the average MCAT writer, it will take several months of hard work to properly prepare for the MCAT. So, from the outset, be realistic about what kind of time commitment is required from you in order to properly prepare, because not leaving yourself enough time or not committing enough time is setting yourself up for failure. The MCAT is not something you do well on by studying willy-nilly or committing half-heartedly. If you're going to write the MCAT, you should commit yourself fully. The next thing is doing what you need to do. You know yourself, you know your study habits, you know your personality, and you know what kind of environment you will need in order to be successful. And setting up a proper environment for your study is an important first step in your MCAT success. For example, I knew that my home city would not be the best place to stay because the environment is not very conducive to my MCAT studies. So I opted to stay in the city where I go to school in order to start to create that environment that would help me to achieve MCAT success. A procrastinator's worst attribute is believing their own lies to themselves. We all lie to ourselves when it comes to studying. We always make plans that we intend to carry through, but they never seem to come out that way. So, whatever lies you tell yourself, and we all do tell ourselves lies when it comes to studying, this is not the time or place to be believing your own lies. So be truthful with yourself and do what you have to do in order to be successful. My next piece of advice is to set concrete goals. A lot of ventures fail because they start with vague goals. So don't start with goals like I want to do well or I'm going to try my best. Set concrete goals so that you can monitor your progress as you study. To set these goals, you need to look at the schools that you're interested in and figure out what kind of score is required and what kind of score will make you competitive, and you can decide on a specific goal from that information. And as a side note, make concrete goals that are realistic, because if you set unrealistic goals, then you will only get frustrated or they will have no impact on your motivation. So studying for the MCAT is a long process, and the grind can sometimes take a toll on your motivation. So before you start the grind, and once you've set goals, ask yourself what motivates you. Ask yourself why this is important to you and what makes you passionate about wanting to become a doctor. Whatever the reasons are, write those things down and put that list somewhere visible. So when you wake up and it's a Sunday and you feel tired and you really have a low amount of motivation to study, you can look at the list and help to pump yourself up and get yourself going. So, as I've said before, studying for the MCAT is a time-consuming commitment, and the easiest way to commit to your studying is to develop good habits and get rid of bad ones. So, get rid of bad habits that inhibit your studying and cultivate habits that encourage studying. Like all things, forming a schedule and making things habitual will help to keep you consistent and help you to keep momentum throughout your study. So, creating the ideal study environment is an important part of planning for your MCAT preparation. Surround yourself with positive influences. If you have a friend that's also studying for something important, then you can work together. Or even better, you can study with a friend for the MCAT and you can monitor each other's progress. And that working in pairs helps to keep you both dedicated. On the flip side, you need to avoid influences that are toxic to your goals. We all have those friends who are very persistent at getting you to go out. But when you go out and you have trouble saying no, the time will start to add up and you will find yourself behind in your MCAT preparation. My last piece of advice is to perhaps look into a prep course because although it's expensive, it is well worth the investment. A lot of people are not able to study on their own with a open schedule like a summer schedule. So for those people, having a regular class schedule helps to keep you on track, and it also keeps you going at a good pace. That's all for this video. Any suggestions, comments, or discussion is welcomed. As always, please rate, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, keep on practicing. This is MCAT Strategy, logging off.